Hello everybody. We have a game with the black pieces against Thomas Ba rated 1443. Let's see if we can get a Caro Kann on the board. Okay, so we take the central pawn, and now white's going to recapture. And we have the option of developing a knight, either one. You know what, let's bring out our queen's knight. We've played this in another one of our speedrun videos. Karpov liked putting his knight here first, so that when he challenges the knight, he can recapture with the knight. But white just keeps developing, it's sensible enough. But we're going to trade anyway and replace the knight. This gives our position a little more space to make sure that these three minor pieces all have good squares. With the fourth minor piece on the second knight, everything gets a little cramped. So white goes back, and now we get the turn back. So let's develop a minor piece to a good square with a pin. He challenges that piece, but we're not afraid of trading because that knight controls the central dark squares. And when the queen recaptures, what happens to this central dark squares is it's not defended, it's also not x-rayed by the queen. So is it hanging? We could take it. He could get a tempo on our queen. There is this pawn after that, but I wouldn't take it. I would just, let's take this free pawn. If he gets the tempo, we'll challenge the queen. We'll just say we're up a pawn, we're ready to win an endgame. So he castles. We just go e6 so we can open our bishop. I suspect this or this. And we're just up a clean pawn, so if we can consolidate, maybe we can win. So he moves his queen here so that I can't develop my bishop and also these ideas. Okay. But I wonder if I can develop my bishop anyway and let him take this. I attack his queen. His queen has to go here. I don't see a winning follow-up though. Okay, so we don't have to do anything fancy. When they do this stuff on the queen side, you always throw your knight here. I don't usually see it as often on the king side for whatever reason. Yeah, it's a little precarious if I just allow it without the knowledge of the follow-up. But not a big deal. We'll just play g6 then. No one really cares. At the end of the day, these dark squares, they're not going to be weak because we have the dark square bishop and our queen is on the dark squares. Okay, so he kicks it this way. It's not convincing though. If we offer the queen trade, he'll develop the bishop. I mean, queen here makes sense. And if he kicks it, we can always go here. At the end of the day, I mean, he's never going to be fast enough to get such a big lead in development that it matters because we're up a pawn. And he's not going to be able to really make up for that. So now his bishop is hanging. He makes the trade, but now he's just down a pawn. And no queens. He moves this piece again in an effort to do something with the knight, but looks suspicious. I can even go here, although that weakens my pawns. They're not connected. I guess if he goes back, which he kind of has to, maybe I can jump my knight here and attack it again. And maybe that, that's kind of nice. So let's do that. Considering we're up a pawn with no queens, this is a good square for the knight. I would like to trade it for the bishop if possible. He can always move his bishop somewhere like here. So like here. There's also kicking this bishop now, but then it opens up both bishops. So I could castle first. Maybe I should castle first. That way I don't really care about this move because my king's already past the line. I could jump my knight in here. I could even play f5, e4. What? Didn't this... That's a free bishop? Hello? That doesn't even make sense. How's that a move? Let me propose. Okay, so he just continues playing. Was that a mouse slip? Hard to say. Okay, he's clearly x-raying my bishop. You could do any number of things, doesn't really matter. I guess we'll just line up a rook behind it, get another piece in the game. The game is over, we all already won. So trading stuff is to our benefit. Our knight's hanging, let's move it here. And the game is over. It was really going really well. It was a pretty good game until he just hung his bishop in a very awkward way. Okay, so that does not defend the appropriate square. So this is just going to be a quick win. We're up a rook and a pawn and a bishop, and he'll probably resign soon, I hope. He can't even infiltrate. Let's just give a check, see where his king goes. I'm just making quick moves, bringing in new pieces. Okay, he goes for the infiltration, but I told you that's not a thing. Okay, he said misclick in chat, so he offered a rematch, so let's give it to him. And now let's convert over to a Jabava London, which is what we get on the board, and he allows us to get into. He prevents e4, so now we have Jabava London, but ooh, he makes this move which we know isn't good because we have an early knight b5 idea coordinating on c7, and this knight can no longer go to a6 to defend. So he has to sack a pawn immediately, which we take for free. So it's not good for him. And now he should kick our knight, probably. But instead he hunts our bishop with his knight. So I'm going to play e3, which opens a piece and defends the bishop. He takes, we take. We're up a pawn, good center, and we're threatening queen takes d5 with a knight fork at the end of the line. Okay, so he now attacks our knight. So if we take a pawn and he takes our knight, do we have what we want? Probably not. I mean, you could yeah. Then you don't have it. So he's hitting our knight. Sacking doesn't do anything. I guess we just go back and threaten the pawn. Seems the most logical. Maybe he'll push and we could hop to the side if he defends. Okay, he doesn't defend. He develops this, which I don't get. So if I take this and he throws in a check, and I take, what's different? Check, g3. Yeah, I don't really see what he's getting at. So I'm going to take a second pawn with my queen. I'm ready to long castle. My position looks great. If he queen trades, it comes with threats, so that doesn't work for him. If he doesn't queen trade, his bishop's hanging, so that doesn't work for him. So he trades queens, but now has to deal with this. We also can just long castle if we don't care about our f pawn. We are up enough that we could, get rid of it. So he defends this way, but this allows us to get rid of that bishop, mess up his structure, and now long castling doesn't hang a pawn. So let's do that. Take immediate control over a bunch of squares. Now he develops his bishop. And now I'll contest it. Trades are good for us, so I have the luxury of bullying my opponent with moves like this. Okay, so he takes, and we can just take. His knight still can't go forward. He lines up with the king, but with such few pieces, there's no real attack. He's just setting up for a knight before cheap ball, I guess. You can move your king and get out of it. You could also just go a3 and demoralize your opponent, who now knows he never has this square. So he castles. Let's get our knight in the game and our rook in the game. He's probably trying to double, but I mean, who cares? You can always just push the pawn. So let's just double our pieces on the open file. We could then improve our knight. It's just very easy. The position plays itself because we're up 2 pawns. It's a 5-on-3, which is not something you see often. So he makes random pawn moves, which we love to see, because then we get to play in the center for free, because trades are wins since we're up 2 clean connected pawns. Avoiding the trade, we now have a beautiful square thanks to his last move. And so that's what he does. He avoids the trade. But now we can get in this hole for free. We can even go into a more forward outpost. Not looking good for black. And we can force trades, which I think I'm going to do. Unless he attacks my knight, but we'll see. So he does attack my knight. I could defend it, right? I don't need to cover the b4 square. I could also just move it here, which is a bit awkward, I feel like, for him. Nope. I'm just going to cement it in with the pawn. That's what I'm going to do. And he moves his rook, and he's attacking pawns. I don't think he gets the gist of what's happening here. Should I block him though? I think I should just block him because maybe he'll resign. So you have a bunch of moves. You could have infiltrated on either square. Um, but this gets him off of this rank, defends both pawns, and really just, as mentioned, demoralizes your opponent. When they see the move like that, they're like, they know they have no counterplay and they don't really feel like playing. G6 creates some space, but we can infiltrate pretty easily. You could take this doubled pawn, but it's not going anywhere, and you're already up a bunch of material, so maybe just hop your knight in behind the rook makes sense. Of course, you could just take it because it comes with more threats. So he moves his knight here. Notice how I always check the forward jumps into my territory, so I know if anything can potentially hurt me. That's what the whole point. So I'm going to jump in here anyway because it's not like he can defend it. I can still take it if I want. It also kind of ties his rook down if he's worried about the f-pawn. Some players will be, some players won't be. Okay, so he's still hopping his knight around. Let's check the forward jumps. No idea what he's doing. I guess it's good enough to just take his stuff. He gives this check, but I mean, this only helps improve our king. He took a doubled pawn, but now our structure looks even nicer than before. I guess he is technically threatening this pawn, but I don't really care. But again, let's just hit him, because players hate when you take away their counterplay. This hits a pawn. Is he going to go for this? I mean, that's a crazy move. So he goes here. There's nothing to it. He defends maybe this pawn, but I mean, that's not like, who cares? Also, let's kick it just for fun. Where's it going? Here. Ugly square. Doesn't really have a choice. Like, it doesn't have any legal moves that don't hang. So kind of has to go here. Hangs the pawn. Then maybe, yeah, then it's kind of useless. So now we're up 3 points of material. I'm probably going to go back with the rook. Okay, he's hitting the knight, which is supported. It creates a pin. Well, with 2 pawns, he can't even undermine because it's too well supported. So this makes me feel very comfortable, and this knight is super restrictive. So now he goes in the center, but I feel like even though it looks similar, it's just not the same at all. I feel like his is still useless and mine is extremely useful. So let's go back here. Probably because my pawns control everything. So he does finally do this undermining method, I guess. But that allows me to push past, and one of these pawns can potentially queen. The knight supports both of them, oddly enough. The rook supports their 7th rank advance, which is deadly. So he goes back to the only available square. He must be trying to blockade. But if we go here, it comes with threats. And he can't stop the queening square. So what does he do? And if he sacks, I mean, it's still game over. So hopefully you can see one method of conversion in a position like this. Okay, cool. We will get a quick analysis. Development center. Development center. And now, targeting a specific weakness, we know this chess chunk. Black cannot just develop his knights normally in the Jabava London. But he did, and he pays the price. So he has to sack a pawn. Free stuff. Center and development. Force move. Force move. And yeah, I don't know why he didn't defend his central pawn. It goes from a pretty even game to plus 2.2. Basically completely winning. Like if you look at the graph, you can't really see the whole thing, but at this point where we are right now, it's at plus 2, and it's just the whole game ends from there. We have all zeros, 10 cent pawn, 98 accuracy. So we take free stuff, force move, and then we take free stuff. Why free? Because this is positionally bad for him, this structure when he takes back, and trades are good for us. Development, king safety, center. Development, center, anti-development. Force move. You don't have to throw in a3, but it's a free improving move because taking the square away means his knight has no purpose. Development, center. Development, center. Improving a piece for free because trades are wins. Improving a piece for free. Force move, our knight was hanging. And now you don't have to do this, but you might as well. Removes all counterplay. Force move. Improve a piece for free. Improve a piece for free. Free stuff. Force move. Improve our position for free. Improve our position for free. Free stuff. Improve our position and force. Well, it was not forced at all, but it improves our position and it's just a good move. We now are in an endgame, and one of the win conditions is our pass pawns. Force move. Win condition, pass pawn, and the game is over. So very straightforward, very direct. Once this happens after knight b5, I always take with the pawn. I think maybe once I took with the bishop. So let's just take a quick look. If I take with the bishop, he'll probably want it for the knight, but then he has to move the knight again. And now it's kind of the same thing, only there's no bishop to harass. So here, but now the pawn's not even hanging, but the knight is. So if the knight moves, the pawn hangs. So the pawn has to push. We take the knight, he takes the knight. We take the queen, he goes here. You don't really want to take, so we're going to take here. He's going to take here. This. Yeah. I like the other lines, actually. The way they feel. I kind of like the pawn taking. And then after this, everything's still hanging. Here. Either way, they're both good. But hopefully this helps you when you see those knights develop normally. Just go get them with knight b5. Okay? Good luck in your chess. Submit your rapid games in my Discord.